Welcome back to Systems and Schedules. This is Lesson 3, Content Calendars. I am not exaggerating when I say content calendars changed my life. Before I started using content calendars, I would just wake up and post whatever I felt like posting. Sometimes I would have a lot of copy, which is just the description or text included with the social media image, and sometimes I wouldn't. Sometimes I would post about a quote, sometimes I would post about a product. There was no rhyme or reason to what I was posting. Now, jump forward a few years and I stumbled upon content calendars. I didn't think they were necessary. In fact, I thought they were a huge waste of time. In reality, it was a waste of time for me not to use one. Here's why. I spent about 2, 3, maybe even 4 days creating my content calendar for TAB, Teacher-Author Brilliance. And I created a plan for 3 months. I laid out every single post I was using for every single day. I came up with topics for every single email and every single Facebook Live I would do in my Facebook group. It took some time, several days, but I then had 3 months worth of content. I did not have to wake up every day and dread, what am I going to post? And then fret about it for hours sometimes because I didn't know what to post and I knew I needed to. So while I took the time up front to create that calendar, in the end, it saved me a lot of time because I just had it working for me. I already had my schedule and my posts would just go on social media and they were already ready to go. And now I only have to do that 4 times a year. I only do it every 3 months. It has turned out to be one of the best things I've ever done for my business. So let's get into today's lesson and learn all about content calendars. Today we will be going over what is a content calendar, why you need one, how to set a content calendar up, and using Asana. Asana is a free program that can help you lay out your calendars and plan your business. So what is a content calendar? Simply, a content calendar is a written schedule of when and where you will post content. It can be used for social media or for TPT products. And I am a huge advocate of having a good, solid content calendar for social media. It helps make social media more manageable. It helps you realize that it's not as hard as it seems. When you're doing social media every day and you're stressing over every single post, yes, social media is overwhelming and hard. But when you have a content calendar that basically runs itself, it makes social media so much easier. Now for TPT products, if you are already in the middle of a product line or in a product you're creating, you don't need to necessarily create a content calendar for that, but start creating them for newer products so you can stay on task and manage your product easier. Content calendars are a great product managing tool. It helps you stay on task and know what's coming next and what you've already done, so you don't repeat yourself or reuse content you've already used. Now, why do you need a content calendar? First, they ensure you stay on task. You will post on social media every single day if you have a content calendar because it will only take a few seconds to make sure it's posted. In fact, you create that content calendar and then you schedule those posts a week or 2 at a time. So they just run themselves. So it really helps you stay on top of what needs to be accomplished. Without a content calendar, you will publish and create less. You will be overwhelmed without one. And I can verify that this is true. I started to get to a point when I didn't have a content calendar that I was so overwhelmed with what I would have to post for the day that I just wouldn't do it. Because sometimes it would take me hours to think of something or, oh, I forgot to post for the day, so I hurried and did it at the end of the day. There was no consistency and it was just by the seat of my pants. And that is not the way you should run your business. It also makes it easier to collaborate with virtual assistants or team members if you have a content calendar. Everyone's on the same page. Everyone knows what to post. Everyone knows what your weekly topic is for your content. And you may not necessarily have a virtual assistant or team members, and that's okay. It'll help you stay focused on what you're creating and your content. And like I said, it helps maintain consistency so that you can make sure that if your weekly topic is going to be tips for teachers on classroom management, that you stay on those tips for that whole week. And then the next week, you jump to another topic. It just helps you stay on course. It also keeps the big picture in perspective, and you know what's coming in the coming weeks. And so you don't have to stress out about, oh, I haven't talked about this topic with my audience, or my audience really wants to hear about this. Well, you can plan it out so you know when to talk about it and when to introduce it to your audience. So what would a social media content calendar look like, and how would you plan one? Number one, you're going to plan your weekly content topics. I plan in 3-month increments. I like this because if I were planning in 1-month increments, I would feel like I was creating content calendars every other day, and that it would creep up on me so fast, I would get burned out of it. In a 3-month time frame, it's just enough time that I have enough content to know what's ahead, but I also don't feel like I'm just making content calendars all the time. So I like the 3-month time span. It is a lot of work up front. It takes a few days, but it pays off in the end. And when you're coming up with these weekly content topics, you need to think about what your audience wants to hear from you. What is your niche? And you need to focus those topics on your niche. So focus on if you were a 2nd grade teacher, if that's your niche. Week 1 might be reading in the 2nd grade classroom. Week 2 might be math centers in the 2nd grade classroom. Week 3 might be how to manage a classroom in 2nd grade. Whatever those topics are, make sure it's around your niche and what your audience wants to hear from you. I love having weekly topics because before I did content calendaring, I would wake up every day and it would take me hours to come up with an idea of what I wanted to do. And it was very stressful. And in the end, if you think of it, I would have been coming up with 365 unique ideas if I'm doing one a day. But if you're only doing content topics weekly, then you're only coming up with 52 in a year time frame. But remember, I only plan in 3-week increments, so I only do 12 topics at a time. And I do a huge brain dump at the beginning of my content planning, and I come up with all the topics I want to use. And sometimes I come up with topics while I'm doing chores or while I'm running errands. I'll think of something and I'll write it on my phone. So when it comes to content planning, I have those ideas listed and I have a starting point of where to go. Number 2, you need to then create the content, and you can create it on Canva. Use social media images and use your recipe of how many times you're going to post each week and what types of posts you're going to create. Are you going to be creating how many quotes each week? How many product posts each week? How many engagement posts? So you have a recipe to follow for your content calendar. This gives you a good guideline when you have the content calendar of what to post and what to create. Then you'll write copy for each post. Now, if on your content calendar, you also include weekly topics for emails and blogs, you might not write all your emails and blogs in one sitting, but you can at least get those ideas out and some copy for each one so you know where to go when you're writing that email and blog. But the copy is just the text that goes along with the social media image and the hashtags. And if you have that all written out ahead of time, when you're scheduling in the Facebook scheduler, in the content creator, then it's really easy. It's just copy, paste, you're ready to go. You don't have to spend hours thinking what you're going to write for this social media image because you already did it ahead of time. Then I also want you to write call to actions or CTAs for each post. And that's just part of the copy, like click here for more information or DM me if you're interested. Whatever that call to action is to get your audience to interact with your post. Then you'll schedule it out. You'll plan your whole content calendar either 1, 2, or 3 months at a time. And then when it's time, I usually just schedule it on Facebook once a week. I usually do it every Sunday night. I schedule for the week because sometimes I might change something here and there. So I don't like to schedule all of my Facebook posts 3 months in advance, but I have them on the content calendar and then I go in every Sunday and schedule them on Facebook. But maybe you want to schedule them that far in advance and that's fine too. But after you have your whole calendar done, you can then start scheduling. Now let's discuss what a TPT products content calendar would look like. First, you're going to decide on a project. What are you going to do? What are you going to create for your audience that they need? What is their pain point and what is your niche and how are you going to fix their problem? So decide on a project to create. Then you need to schedule a timeline of when the project will be completed. So for example, you're going to create tasks for the project, and it might be create the content, write the lesson plans, create the PowerPoint, make the cover, create the preview, take the photos, create a product video, list it on TPT. You'll come up with all the tasks, and then you'll decide on a completion date for each task. And you can write this out in your content calendar, and you may just have one content calendar for each product just to keep it more organized. And one product, it might take only a week, or it might take a couple of months. It just depends what you're creating and what that timeline is. We've now gone over what content calendars are, how to use them, and why you need one. But now let's discuss project managing tools and what you'll use to create your content calendar. You can use tools like Excel, Google Sheets, or something else. I prefer to use a free tool called Asana. I used Google Sheets for a while, and I'll show you what that looks like in comparison to Asana. I just love the different tools Asana offers. Now, I use the free version of Asana. There is a paid version, but for small businesses, the free version is going to give you what you need. So let's take a look at how Asana works and how my Google Sheets differed and why I like Asana better. Let's go ahead and look at what my Google Sheets content calendar looked like. I would start and put an image here on the left. And it was really hard because when I inserted the images, they'd be really tiny, so I'd have to drag and make them larger. And that sounds like a silly thing to be annoyed by, but it took a lot of time and it was annoying. And I didn't like having to do that, but it worked for the time being. And then I would do one reel a week at this time. So I had my reel idea down here. And then this was the copy for the reel. And then this was the copy for the picture or image text. And so this worked great. This is my first content calendar for Tab, Teacher Author Brilliance. And I had each week a different color, and they're my brand colors. So I knew what to post, and I had the images here. And it worked out great. But then I stumbled across Asana, and let me show you why I love it. Now let me show you how Asana works. I love Asana because I can look in calendar view. I couldn't do this in Google Sheets, and I can quickly see what posts I have for each day. Now, let's say I want to see what this engagement post is going to be. I just click on here. You can see that I have my copy here in the description. And then I have the post. So that's what the post will look like for this day. If I were to scroll down here, I might want to see what this quote is for the day. You can see I have the copy and the hashtags, and here's the post that I'm going to be posting that day. And when those posts get posted, you can click the little check mark to say that it's complete. I love that little feature in Asana. Now let's say I wanted to add something else to the content calendar. You just click on the day and just write what you want to add. So let's say I wanted to write some tips. I would click tips. Then I'm going to click on that, it has tips. In the description, I would write what the text is that I want to share. Tips on how to be a brilliant TPT author. Then I would go ahead and click the attach button and find the file on my computer, Dropbox, or Google Drive and put it in this post. Then I have my whole calendar set up and ready to go. It's so easy to see. I love using Asana. It's so simple and very straightforward. Now you can see that there are different views on how to view this content. So for example, I made a small sample new product math review Jeopardy game content. Okay, so let's say I was going to do this product and I can see it in either list view. Here's the list, things that I want to do, doing or done, or I could even look at it in board view. I like this view because I can go ahead and drag, okay, I've written the content for 5th grade. I'm going to drag it into done, add the check mark. Now I need to write the content for 4th grade and write the content for 3rd grade. It is an amazing visual to see what tasks need to be done. If you take the time up front to get organized, you are going to complete your tasks and your projects quicker. I promise you. Now you can also see, we went over the list view and the calendar view when we did the Instagram content calendar. We can't do timeline in the free version, but I don't feel like that's necessary. I feel like I get everything I need in Asana with my calendar view, my board, and my list view. And you can have up to 15 members on the free version. So if you have other VAs or other team members you want interacting with you on Asana, go ahead, create a team, and you guys can all use Asana together. It's a great way to stay on top of what your texts are, and everyone's on this same page. And everyone can see what tasks they're working on and what needs to be completed. I hope I've helped you understand the importance of content calendars. I want you to start creating your content calendar today. Set aside that time, it might be several days, and start creating that content. You have your niche pinned down. You've started to create a wonderful brand, and you now know how to use Canva. Take all those skills you've learned and plan out your content in either a 1, 2, or 3 month increment and get that content calendar started.